Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, for our July Globe Observer Connect follow-up to the Globe Cup Challenge. I'm Kristen Weaver. I work with the Globe Observer team at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. So we're really excited to share with you some of the observations that were collected and some of the results. So you can see this lovely picture that Leanna got to go to a game. But we're going to actually, and so Leanna in a little bit will be announcing sort of the team results and who got the observations. I should also note that we are recording this, so we'll have a few presentations by our scientists that you met last time introducing the challenge, and then Leanna will talk about the results, and then we should have hopefully some time at the end if you have any questions or comments or to share any of your own observations. We'll get to that at the end, but we are recording this, so if you don't want to be on camera or you don't want your voice heard, just type your questions or comments into the chat and we can read them out. But just be aware, and we will put this recording up on our website as soon as it's ready after this. So I'm going to go, without taking more time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eric Brown de Colstoun to talk a little bit about land cover observations.
Thank you, Kristen. And yes, I was sharing this beautiful image from Leanna, who's on the Globe team. And, you know, it seems like it was not long ago that the World Cup finished, and congratulations to Spain and all their fans. Obviously, they ended up being the best team. And when I looked, so this is an image from, I guess, a Germany-Paraguay game, and I see it says football is calling, and it definitely, football was definitely calling for me. I'm a big World Cup fan, so got to see a France-Iraq game as well. It was very exciting, lots of people, and so I'm going to share a couple of the examples, and just bear with me so thank you for the picture, Leanna, and I hope you had a good time at the game. So I'm going to share a couple examples of different land covers from different regions. And thanks again to everybody who participated. I'll be honest myself, I just made like a couple measurements. I was having problems with my phone. So it looks like I might need a new phone. But let me share a couple of examples from, and my computer is going slow, and typically I have too many windows open as well. So here we go. Some examples that Leanna put together. Hopefully everybody can see it. Can you see the...
Yeah, we can see the slides. I don't know if you want to go into presentation mode to make it full screen.
If I do
that lower
mode.
Down at the bottom, the little slideshow icon.
Right. Okay.
There we go.
And then I'm actually able to. So thank you from whoever submitted this from Nigeria. As you can see, in terms of land cover, obviously, the amount of grass and bare soil is variable, and that has an impact on temperature. And Kevin will be talking to you about some of his results with the temperature. So thanks again. It reminds me a little bit of I grew up in Venezuela, and we used to play on fields that looked exactly like that. So, and probably looking at the vegetation in the distance, it looked like it was probably just as hot as when I grew up when I was playing in Venezuela. Very nice track and field from Thailand. So thank you very much. And Taiwan and India, I mean, on the right, it looks to be more of an agricultural setting in a mixed land cover situation. I don't know, Kevin, if you made measurements on a red track such as this one,
I personally have not.
Would be.
I have not, no.
You have not. I don't know what the temperature. I think comparatively it's cooler than obviously a darker color one. So thank you from Europe, from Croatia. We had quite a few measurements from Croatia and Ukraine. Again, the one on the right is probably doesn't look like a playing field. This is from Peru, and again, I don't know at what elevation this is, but this looks like a legit soccer field in different parts of the world. That's for sure. Just a reminder on these, like, don't slide on the ground. That's a lesson I learned when I was a little kid. Near East and North Africa, and similar themes. North America. So I think if I remember, that almost reminds me of the field we have here at Goddard, where we play soccer. Some of the older guys. And Kevin, are any of these yours?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think
No,
I
know
observed at least 10 fields myself.
Yeah, you did. You took the lead in the USA region, I think. Oh, okay. But just in terms of, so Kevin will talk about temperature. I think I spoke when we kicked off. Again, thank you everybody for participating, and I'm excited to find out who the winners are. I'm not sharing anymore. But in general, so when we're talking about land cover, we're talking about general land cover categories, whether it's a forest, a field, agriculture, an urban area. So the way the physical makeup of the land that we call land cover basically influences a lot of things about whether the atmosphere interacts with the land. So Kevin is going to talk about temperature. So fields, bare fields, or fields with grass will have actual photosynthesis and evaporation and will be cooler. And bare fields and built-up areas typically are much warmer. I don't know if we have any measurements of turf fields, but those are typically actually even warmer than parking lots. And so land cover, in many ways, we use different computer models at NASA that simulate the Earth. And so when you define the land cover at the surface, essentially your model will be able to replicate the interaction of that specific land surface with the atmosphere. But it also controls. I study what we call impervious surfaces, and they're called imperviouses because they don't allow water to penetrate into the soil. So concrete, asphalt, built-up surfaces. So it has an impact not only on temperature, but also how the water flows off the land. So land cover is a pretty important parameter to know. And so your contributions will help us include the data into some of the science that NASA is doing. And I think I will leave it at that in very general terms. So thanks again for your participation, and thanks again, and congratulations to Spain again for the winning the World Cup. And then, we look forward to finding out who wins the Globe Cup.
There you go.
Yeah,
You get a trophy just like that, Leanne, like the regular.
I think we have the certificates. We do have a trophy on some of the certificates for some of the winning regions. I think it's going to have to be limited to a digital trophy, nothing more than that. But I think unfortunately I don't think we got anyone participating from Spain. So the ultimate winner of the World Cup no one from that country participated in our Globe Cup. But
it is what it is. Yes.
It is what it is. But thank you, Eric. So we'll turn it over to Dr. Kevin Czajkowski, who will talk about some of the temperature stuff.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, Eric, for covering the land cover. And Yeah, Sarah asked this question or mentions, wondering how hot it was at the World Cup games. When they did the hydration breaks, they watered the fields. And I assume that cooled the fields down quite a bit to put water on right then. I had suggested that to the University of Toledo people because the football field and the soccer field are artificial turf. You could water the field and therefore cool it down, but um, that wasn't received too well. Yeah, let me share. I have oh
And
cool.
yeah, I was never sure, Kevin, whether the hydration breaks were because when you put water in the field, it also makes it slicker for the ball
Well,
movement. But
the ball can skip exactly, and
I
that's
wasn't sure whether
um,
that was a cooling effect, but that's a very good point.
yeah, that's why I was thinking that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But so what I was doing was linking up the temperature to the fields and the observations, and uh, I focus on surface temperature. We also suggested that people could do air temperature. Surface temperature, there were over 1,500 observations taken during this period, which is it's a good number, pretty high number. Uh, Now, one of the challenges was matching a soccer field, football field to the temperature, because some people took measurements of land cover of a soccer field, but they didn't do any temperature measurements. And I looked at air temperature as well, and the air temperature was actually harder to match up than the surface temperature. There's a lot more like automated stations and stuff like that. But I'll show you a few examples of things I found. Um, so the coolest temperature, I was going to go over the coolest and the warmest. So the coolest temperature was from Croatia, as a grass field. You can see I have kind of a red circle where it was in Europe. Maybe too much on this slide, but and then the field itself, I think it's next to an artificial turf field, but just the grass field was measured and it was 12 degrees Celsius on June 19th. So that was pretty cool. And this is what the field looks like. And then the hottest field was from Italy from this campaign at 68.4 degrees Celsius. And that was artificial turf. And it's kind of nestled amongst a lot of buildings. You can see here on the left side. I have some of the temperature graph from the Globe website. On the right here, you can see they had three measurements and all about 60 to almost 70 degrees Celsius. That's 155 degrees Fahrenheit. So very, 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 very hot surface, artificial turf is. Now, it was interesting. The person from Italy took the measurements of three fields close to each other. And sorry. Here's the artificial turf field associated with school. Looks like the turf is pretty old. And then here's another field nearby, and it's a grass field. Notice the temperatures are around 50 degrees Celsius for this grass field. And then the third field, there's the field with kids on it. The third field, another grass field, but it's a little more rural, I suppose. And the temperatures actually started out in the 30s and went up close to 60. So similar to other field. They had some heat waves there in Europe and of course still having them. And I think that's affected the temperature of these grassy fields. This is what it looks like on that one. I just wanted to highlight another turf field. So Jem Bourgeot, our U.S. country coordinator, she took measurements of the University of New Hampshire soccer field. And you can see it down here in the lower left. And it's next to their football field. Both are artificial turf. Looks like there's a number of artificial turf fields, but then some grass. And her measurement was 43.8, so pretty warm there. So this is what it looks like. So I just a few other highlights. So here's a field in Nigeria. So I messed that up. Let's see. Go forward. There we go. So temperatures around 30. You see the dates there on the right through June and then July. So this person took a bunch of measurements. Interesting kind of structure of the neighborhood. Okay, and it's actually has stands, covered stands for that field, for a grassy field. And here's another one at the girls' college, girls' school. more south, it was cooler. One measurement from that field. You can see the field there. Okay, so this was a field in Croatia, but it was actually asphalt next to the artificial turf school field. And you can see the temperature wasn't too hot in Croatia for the stadium. And it was a little, I don't know, practice area maybe with asphalt and then a goal. And those are just the highlights I had. I realized as I was putting this together, I needed about 2 or 3 months to really analyze the data. And I feel pretty good that I got some done. I did want to highlight high school students as part of the SEAS program. The University of Texas has a summer internship sponsored by NASA Science Activation each summer. And these high school students looked at soccer fields or football fields. One student was from Staten Island, Demi, and the other student, Isabella, from Brazil. And so they're comparing fields from those two countries, from the two countries. But here on the lower right is 2 stadiums in Brazil. One artificial turf is red, and these are full like professional stadiums. And then the blue is grassy field. And you can see not every day, these are from Landsat images. So these are the days of the Landsat images, and they had to be clear. The red is hotter most days, but not every day. There are some days. And of course, I think some of them could be from cloud cover. So it might have been like clouds in the pixel. All right, well, that's what I wanted to share. Of connecting the temperature for our campaign. Like I said, I couldn't get any air temperature to match up with any of the fields, but I probably could if I had 2 or 3 months. So
Yeah,
thanks.
well, this was a little bit of a quick turnaround since it's, barely been just over 10 days since the end of the challenge. But I think that's neat that you had some good examples, and I'm glad we got some variety of different types of fields. And I think some of those high temperatures on those turf fields are kind of amazing. Like that just sounds like I was looking at some of the averages overall of the temperatures reported, and it's just incredible that some of those turf fields get so hot. But I think with that, Leanna Nordstrom, who is at the Globe Communications, is going to show sort of how the different regions turned out.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for an excuse to wear my Senegal jersey, one of the teams I was rooting for through the World Cup, who unfortunately did not make it to the end. I just want to take a minute to thank everyone who participated in this challenge. It was a fun one. And we specifically wanted to congratulate 10 individuals who took the most observations during the challenge. And they took at least one measurement for each day of the World Cup, which for those who didn't count was 39 days. So congratulations to Yusra Al-Dahawi, Fakria Al-Blushi, both from Near East and North Africa region. Congratulations also to Bodana Vasilishin, Victoria Kasapovic, Snayazana Markovic Zoraya, all from the Europe and Eurasia region. Hidayah Al-Farsi from Near East and North Africa region. David Akong from the Africa region. Ali Al-Kafiri from the Near East and North Africa region. And Kaigama Ishaku from the Africa region, and last but certainly not least, Balahan Adehimo, also from the Africa region. I practiced the names. I apologize if I still said them incorrectly. Congrats also to our regional teams. So North America ended up with the most active team members. And by active, we mean that they signed up for the team and they took at least one air temperature, land cover, or surface temperature observations. We appreciated all the other observations that came in, but for this Globe Cup Challenge, we were just looking at those observations. Congratulations to Near East and North Africa. They made the most air temperature, land cover, and surface temperature observations. So we wanted to take a minute to also show photos and highlights from each region. With 7 active participants, the Africa region had a total of 246 observations. Asia and Pacific had 4 participants with a total of 17 observations. Europe and Eurasia had 5 participants who took 397 observations. And sorry, I should have gone more slowly. I'll give you all a minute to look. Latin America and Caribbean had 1 active participant who took this awesome land cover observation of a field. And Near East and North Africa had 5 participants with 2,375 observations. And then North America had 10 active participants, and they made 129 observations. So this really was a great effort. We had a lot of fun with it. I just want to thank you all again for participating. We will send out certificates to the email that you have in the Globe system. So expect that, and maybe give us a week to get that out to you. And we do have a news article up on the website, and we will be swapping out what's there with the final results. So if you use that QR code, and we can put the link in the chat, you can check back, and it will have the results on the news article on the globe.gov website as well. Thanks all.
Yeah, and I'm glad you put up the feet with, we asked people to include their soccer balls, and I like that you grabbed that. We had a nice number of people getting those images, the down photos, including the soccer balls. So we have a few minutes here. If anybody has any further questions they want to ask or share any of their observations with the doing observations during this challenge. I think I'm glad we got some pretty good participation, even though it was sort of put together a little bit at the last minute. We didn't necessarily promote it very far ahead, but it was nice to be able to take advantage of the excitement over the World Cup to get some of these observations. But of course, as noted, there's that student project. There's lots of, I think, interesting things you can explore around different temperatures on different fields, even outside of the World Cup.
Hey, Kristen, yeah, I put the link to the NASA Sea Students project in the chat, and I'm just wondering if you guys can also add that to the news story then when you post it.
I'll take a look at that. Thanks, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have to say, I saw some people playing soccer on the beach when I was over at Ocean City, Maryland, but I confess, I did not get a land cover observation of them playing soccer on the beach, and I regret that.
Yeah, in Brazil, that's they do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure other parts.
Yeah, and I didn't have a surface temperature. I didn't have an infrared thermometer with me, so I couldn't have taken surface temperature observations, but I should have taken a land cover observation. Any other thoughts?
Kristen, there's a question in the chat from
Yeah. Okay, so it's related. So I'm going to read Sabrina's comment because it's related to soccer, to the measurements of this year. I think we can maybe wait to the end for the cloud observation comment. But thank you, Sabrina. Comments. I enjoyed very much in taking measurements on soccer fields. Have been surprised by the results and will work on them with my students in the next school year. Thank you very much for this exciting challenge. I think, yeah, it is something that can get people interested in different times of day, different times of year, different types of fields. There's lots of questions you can ask related to this sort of thing.
Yeah, and Kristen, I was just going to add that the contrast between the field and things that are surrounding it as well is very interesting to look at. Obviously, depending on how much grass and how much bare ground as well, you could have a lot more variability. But yeah, thank you. Or grazie. Sorry, my horrible Italian.
Yeah. Okay, well, if there's not other questions, it looks like we addressed Holly addressed the specific cloud-related question in the chat. But if there aren't any more related to the Globe Cup Challenge, going once.
Just one comment, actually. Like the C students did using satellite imagery to look at the temperatures of different fields. It would just be such a cool study to see what the temperatures of the fields were, if possible, during the World Cup from satellite imagery. That would be a really neat study.
Now, that's an interesting one, though, and I think, and I don't know, Eric, if you can address this, I think the challenge is that the footprint of the surface temperature measurements from satellite is so much larger than any of these individual sports fields that I wonder if you would actually, like, I don't know if you could pull out what is actually the temperature of the sports field. I think the satellite resolution for surface temperature is pretty coarse. Am I correct in that, Eric?
I mean, you can, it's like 100 meters or a little less. So you can sort of make out the field. So if you have a stadium, you might see the center or piece of the field, but it's difficult. And the challenge to that, Sarah, is to try to, and I've done this, and I think Kevin has done this as well with his students, is you want to get out to make a measurement. I was making measurements in the parking lot right up front in the building. And so you want to make sure that you go outside at about the same time when the satellite goes over so that you have your best match. And then if you have a cloudy day, that can cause problems because obviously clouds are going to change the temperature. So it's a little tricky to really match it up exactly to the satellite, but I think that's the idea in general terms is if the more measurements we're able to do like that, where you can match a globe observation with a satellite measurement, then you start building up a lot of exemplars of different surface types, different temperatures. One of the limitations of satellites is or at least the Landsat satellite, they go over the Earth at the same time, so you don't really get a change in temperature. And you usually get the temperature at least in urban areas, the maximum temperature might be later in the day than what the satellite measures. So those are all challenges, but it's part of what Kevin and I trying to do. So
yeah, I think I'm thinking about, and it would be interesting to look at this if you have a grass field in the middle of an urban area. Is the satellite going to sort of conflate some of the what might be lower grass temperature with the higher pavement areas, or vice versa? If you had a turf field that was the actual turf field was hotter, but it was in a more green area overall. I think those are some interesting questions related to comparing the satellite data to those more granular, fine-tuned points that you can get from the ground observations.
Yeah,
and actually
sorry, Kirsten.
No, go ahead. I was just going to make sure we announce the next Globe Observer Connect, but so go ahead and make your other point, Eric. I just don't want to keep people too long past 12:30.
Yeah, I was just going to say that on the making a measurement on a field, it's a larger object that is more homogeneous, although as we saw, there's a lot of variability in how much grass there is. But so the fields are larger objects that may allow us to do those kinds of measurements and matches. So sorry, Kristen.
Yeah. No, and that's an interesting question, Sarah. If the World Cup tracks surface temperatures of fields for player health, I think the World Cup, they all play on grass fields, correct? So that is at least a little bit better as far as that goes. But I know it is absolutely a concern for like the school age players and things, all those hot fields. But yes, so Leanna just put in the chat the link to the next Globe Observer Connect. Our next Globe Observer Connect is going to be on August 27th. And we're going to be focusing on the PACE satellite. PACE stands for Plankton Aerosol Cloud Ocean Ecosystem Satellite. And so we're actually going to be starting to match your observations to the PACE satellite, and you'll see the overpass notifications in the app soon. The matches may start coming out sooner than that. So on August 27th, we're going to learn a little bit more about the PACE satellite and a clouds challenge that we're doing related to collecting data specifically for some scientists who are interested in those clouds photos related to PACE. So that will be our next Globe Observer Connect. So same time as this one on August 27th, and you can click on that link to register for it. And yeah, we look forward to talking more about that new satellite that we're adding to the Globe Clouds family. And so with that, I think we can try to keep our time short and wrap things up. But thanks again for everybody who sent in observations during the Globe Cup Challenge. And as Leanna said, look in your email in the next week or so if you sent in observations for your certificate. And if for some reason you don't get one or something like that, feel free to reach out via either the Globe Help or the Globe Observer Help, and we'll get that sorted out for you. But have a wonderful day, everybody. And yeah, get out and play some soccer/football if you feel inclined. Bye.
Sounds like an excellent plan. Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.